Welcome to the All of You podcast, where we believe healthy relationships are created by growing individually and pursuing a healthy relationship with yourself.
So let's take a deep breath. Settle in and grow together.
So you're really going to make me talk about this celebrity drama?
Yeah, I am. Full on. I have to break something to you that...
To me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. You have been, ever since I've known you, you've loved Ryan Reynolds.
I do love Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
And I have to break the news to you that I'm kind of, and this is like guilty pleasure, that I have gone far, far down the rabbit hole of the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni drama.
Not everyone knows what that is, so we should probably
Everyone
explain.
knows what this is, Dave.
No, I didn't. If I wasn't married to you, I wouldn't. No.
You wouldn't have, yeah, but I feel like this is where you're the exception.
Possibly, but I still think it's worth saying that it's the movie. It's from the book. It ends with us,
Which
and
then turned into a movie.
turned into a movie. Justin Baldoni. I wouldn't even know who that is if you didn't make me watch that movie. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Well, yeah.
he's not a celebrity in my mind. Like
No,
that I would know
agree
of.
with that, but the
Yeah.
drama is like pretty hot off the press, circulating
Only
the
for
globe.
people that follow this stuff.
Yeah.
But not everybody, like, the world is kind of diversifying in their knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
Because of the internet, because of social media.
Yeah, but Hollywood stars are known around the world.
Yeah, but I think in America, we tend to think that our news, I think as humans, we tend to think that our news is big news. Like, if the Lakers win the NBA championship, like a lot of sports fans, or like the Eagles won the Super Bowl, there are people who don't know that. And the people who are like big Eagles fans are shocked that people, like, it's just a human condition.
So, like, I'm going to give this to you. And you know what? Perfect. Thank you for teaming me up, because if not everyone knows what's going on with Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni, I got you. I can fill you in. And I have to actually start this out by saying why I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah.
And it's weird why I'm fascinated by this.
And we're not going to talk about this the whole topic.
This is
the
not,
whole podcast.
No, this is not the agenda of the episode.
Yeah.
This has just been my...
You wanted to talk about it, so I told you I would let you.
Yeah, because I mean, what's the point of having a podcast if you can't talk about whatever you feel like on it, right? So, okay. So, why I'm fascinated by this is I have this fascination with like light and dark, like the darkness and the light, and trying to figure out like good and evil. And I find it just fascinating where evil hides and how evil hides. And I find it fascinating how much evil there is in Hollywood that's hidden. And I love when darkness is exposed. And I love when you're like, the truth comes out. Like, I'm not going to go into it on this episode, but like everything going on with P. Diddy right now, I'm like, oh, shine a light on it. Let's go. Like, I like exposing the bad so that we can like create more light in this world. That's where my fascination comes from. So, Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, It Ends With Us. Started with a book by Colleen Hoover. And I read that book many years ago. It was a fantastic book, I must say. 5 years ago, Justin Baldoni got the rights to create a movie, be the producer, director of this movie. And he had Blake Lively as the main lead actress in it. Colleen Hoover, the author, asked Justin Baldoni to play one of the leading males in the film. And so he was the director. He was also an actor. And
he played the like worst part of the movie. It was brutal.
Yeah. So
his role sucked.
Yes. The movie is actually on domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the abuser in the movie. And basically what is coming to light is mind-blowing how dark Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively actually are.
I have a hard time believing that.
I know.
It's making me really...
because the devil is good. Not good. Like, the devil works hard. The devil works hard.
I'm saddened by this news. Tell me, just give it to me straight. I don't know anything. For the record, I know very little about the situation. I watched the movie with you. I know that you have been wanting to talk about this with me, and I have refused.
Not really wanting to listen.
I don't like celebrity gossip, for one. I don't like gossip in general. That's like a big thing for me.
I know you hate it.
I hate it. I can't stand gossip. I will theorize, though, over like if you tell me about this, like I'll want to dig into I want to give my take on the psychology of it, you know? But
happy to go there with you.
Yeah, but I won't. I'm sure I'll have an interesting take. Go ahead.
Okay. So what has unraveled is that Blake Lively is accusing Justin Baldoni of sexual misconduct. And because of that, she didn't allow him to do any of the publicity for the film together. She did it all on her own or separate from him. At the premiere of the movie, she actually made his family watch it from the basement. And there's literally photos of them in the basement. Kept him completely separate.
These aren't facts.
They are. They're backed up with photos.
Okay, but without
This isn't even the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
Not even the tip.
Okay.
And she files that it's because of a scene that happens in the movie, something that he did. Well, Justin Baldoni came with full receipts and showed the footage of what actually happened, and it makes her look like she absolutely made the entire thing up. And then she also tried to she rewrote one of the scenes of the film and basically bombarded Justin Baldoni, and Ryan Reynolds chewed him out in their penthouse to get him to put that scene that she wrote in the film because she wants to get producer credit. And she completely has tried to take over his movie and was successful at it because she refused to show up on set and film if she didn't get her own way multiple times, all proven in his text messages he released. And then she refused to let him put out the final cut of the movie. She wanted her version put out, and she made her own version of the movie, which actresses should not have permission to do, but she was strong-arming him into this, manipulating him. And then they ran results of his movie and her movie. His scored higher with the audience, and she basically was like, I won't promote the film unless you put my movie out. Strong-armed him into putting her movie out. And then she even had put in the credits of the film a shout out to Nice Pool, which is where Ryan Reynolds comes in. And Ryan Reynolds' character Nice Pool was actually a complete...
Wait, Deadpool?
Deadpool.
You said Nice Pool.
Yes, but Nice Pool is a character in Deadpool.
Oh, I didn't know this.
And it's the one with the man bun who's all into peace and stuff.
Okay.
So that character is actually just totally making fun of Justin Baldoni the whole time. And Justin Baldoni used to have that exact same haircut. He makes fun of men who have podcasts on feminism, which Justin Baldoni has. And in the movie, he kills Nice Pool. And there's also these links.
This seems too conspiracy theorist. It just feels like one of those I don't know. I'm not going to say that there aren't links to it, but I don't typically buy into that it was just that.
Oh, no, there's more. You want more?
Okay.
So then the New York Times puts out this article saying how bad Justin Baldoni is and put screenshots of text messages in there, but they remove emojis from the text messages so you can't actually tell the tone of what's going in the context. And so Justin Baldoni goes, oh, okay, if you want to release text messages, I'm going to put up a website that has every single text correspondence we've ever had. This goes public. And Blake Lively texted Justin Baldoni, have you ever watched Game of Thrones? I'm paraphrasing here. Have you ever watched Game of Thrones? I'm Khaleesi and I have a couple of dragons. Do what I say and my dragons will be like good to you. And her dragons are Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, because Taylor Swift was in the penthouse the night that she convinced Justin to go with her scene for the movie. And so,
which you love Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but here's what's really fascinating is the whole basis of the claim that is like going into court from Blake Lively's side is that it's a sexual assault case. Taylor Swift has a history of backing women when they claim for sexual assault. She went to court and sued the guy who sexually assaulted her, for $1 just to prove a point, to like show like it's not okay. When Kesha was saying that she had been sexually assaulted, Taylor Swift paid her legal bills so it could go to court. Taylor Swift is silent, has not said a word. And she is the godmother of Blake Lively's kids. She's absolutely silent, hasn't said a word, will not back up Blake Lively in this, and is like nowhere to be found, because Justin Baldoni's lawyers can and likely will have Taylor Swift be deposed, which means like put her on the stand and make her say like what actually happened and what went down. So it's not looking good. It's just not looking good for your guy, Ryan Reynolds.
Well, so like, I don't understand.
Oh, because some of the reason for this is Blake Lively was saying that she needed to see the dailies, which is like the film that was filmed every day. And there's actually like no reason for her to see that. And what's weird is everyone thinks it's because Ryan Reynolds actually wanted them, because Ryan Reynolds has a history of being controlling. Alanis Morissette wrote a song on him called Straight Metal Jacket. And then Scarlett Johansson, his ex-wife, has like alluded to this as well, that there was like him being controlling in their relationship. And which is really interesting. Scarlett Johansson's currently filming with Channing Tatum right now, and Ryan Reynolds is all of a sudden being BFFs with Channing Tatum, and they're like traveling together, which he has like a weird thing. He's still obsessed with Scarlett Johansson. She's like the one that got away. And then Ryan being really controlling, he was away from the set when Blake Lively was filming, because he was filming Deadpool at the same time. So he wanted the dailies. There's like this underlying thing going on where it actually comes down to like Ryan Reynolds being really controlling of Blake Lively.
That is bonkers to me. Like, no offense, but I'm not going to say he's not. I'm not going to come, Ryan, I love you. Like, you're my guy. I think you're so funny. I think you're one of the funniest humans that has ever existed on this planet. And I think that I really admired I don't really follow celebrities, so I don't know a lot about Ryan Reynolds. But I would say, like, out of celebrities, I felt like he was displaying a lot of healthy dynamics in his public display of their relationship, like him and Blake Lively's relationship. The way that he would talk about her, the way that they seem, like, my gut feeling was like, they seem pretty badass. Like, they seem like they have figured something out a little bit, you know? And maybe that's not the case. Maybe I was wrong. But I'm gonna kill this whole thing for you if you let me. I mean, you wanted to talk to me about this, so
and here's
I'm gonna kill the whole thing.
I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to hear that they're actually good people, but
here it is.
I'm not seeing it.
Here it is. Good people do bad things. I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to anyone, but anyone who's trying to make Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively seem like they're the devil, like they are bad people, they're just not. They're humans.
Right.
And humans make mistakes, and humans get triggered, and humans get scared when there's money involved. And humans also are influenced by publicists, and even more so in Hollywood. And so I'm not saying that they did it right. And I don't think Justin Baldoni I know nothing about that guy. I've seen clips of his podcast. I think he's awesome. I think his podcast is awesome. I think there's probably stuff that I would disagree with him on as well. But I do think that he's, from everything I've heard, and the fact that he was willing to play that part was bold, and I hats off to him as well. It was a dark role. So I can imagine if I was in, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Heath Ledger. Like, Heath Ledger was awesome. He played that Joker role and he went crazy and something happened to him, you know? And there's like, if you go down the rabbit hole of him playing the Joker role in that Batman movie, you know, it's just like, you just don't know these people, you know? You don't know what people are capable of. I can't promise you I'm going to be good for my entire life. I want to try. I want to try to be good my entire life, but I can't say that I'm not going to make mistakes. And it all has to do with health. And so that's why I said I'm going to kill it for you, because it's like, good people do bad things. Bad people do good things. Like, good behavior and character. Like, people think of character of like who you are, right? Like, you are of good character. I would say it's more influenced by what you're intaking, and it's good character can be corrupt. I just think that there's no real way to say somebody's bad or good. I just think I'm not surprised when people fall. And that doesn't mean Ryan Reynolds is a bad guy. I don't think they have a bad relationship. The whole controlling dynamic. Look at this. You're not saying you're doing this, but the publicist and the world is trying to come after him. How? By looking up one of his previous marriages. If you want to dig, you're going to find stuff. And especially when you dig in the past where somebody's evolved from. And I think that I'm all about grading people for where they're at right now. And I'm all about accountability. And I really would like to see everyone take accountability. But when you're that high on the totem pole, I'm sure there's a lot of influences there. I'm sure there's a lot of legal things. And I think they got caught up in this really big debacle. And I would hope they take it up with God, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you that there's no like, all this person's good, this person's bad. We're all capable of making mistakes. But suing someone when it didn't happen is ruining someone's life.
Oh, totally. Maybe. And maybe she is totally wrong and Justin Baldoni is 100% not to blame here. I just think that's really freaking rare. It's really, really, really rare. And even if that's the case, like, just being honest, and I'm not saying what Justin Baldoni should do, but if I'm in his shoes, as soon as stuff went sideways, drop everything. Don't make the movie. Why would?
But like, we're talking about millions of dollars on the line.
Okay, okay.
And when you say going sideways, what do you mean by going sideways? Because she didn't make the claim until after the movie was released.
Okay.
She just started acting like a diva. And
I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Like, that there was no, like, I see, without all the information, you just don't know where. I can't say how they should have handled it, but I can say, I bet there was signs. I bet you that there was a crossing of the intuition. At some point, somebody, whoever was right, whoever was in their alignment with themselves and in their heart, and their intuition was crossed, and they had a gut feeling. If I was making a movie and I came to you and I was like, babe, my co-star in this movie isn't treating me well, your number one thing would be back out. Drop it. Get out of that situation. We don't work with people we don't align with, right? I don't care how much money is on the table. That's how I stay aligned in my life. You've quit a job over that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, I think that there was probably signs, and I think they probably got in bed with the wrong people, not literally, but figuratively, like in the movie. And I think that when you do that for money, you are risking now that situation, you know? And I'm not saying like it's right. I'm not saying that, but I just have a hard time believing that there wasn't a little bit of it takes two to tango, you know? I just think, no, it's very rare somebody's in full alignment and full, integrity, and then somebody around them just bashes and thrashes them. I don't know. I'm not saying that didn't happen. That could be the case too.
I mean, another way to look at it is Blake and Justin were working incredibly close together. Blake Lively has had a fling with every one of her co-stars pretty much that she's ever worked with.
Though I don't like the
and that made Ryan Reynolds jealous. Why is Ryan Reynolds getting involved in a film that he has nothing to do with other than his wife is in the film? That's like you coming to my office and like telling my boss how things are going to go down. They'd be like, excuse me? Like, what are you doing here?
It's Hollywood, and like, I get it. So he did something wrong. So maybe like, we've kind of handled like maybe Justin Baldoni. We've been talking about this for 30 minutes now, but I'm just saying people do wrong things. And if Ryan Reynolds got triggered and went back to some controlling behaviors, you know what, Ryan? I forgive you. Did you make a really, really, really bad mistake? I think you got two people that got into a feud and it went too far.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
that's none of my business, kind of. And I'm not going to hang him. I'll go watch a Ryan Reynolds movie. If he has controlling behaviors in his relationship, welcome to the freaking club. You know how many guys do?
But he's literally trying to destroy someone else's life because he can't handle his own triggers. I'm not going to your movie.
I don't know if that's the case though, because there's a lot.
You're gonna have to watch the next Deadpool in the theaters because he ain't playing in this house.
You can't pin it all on him though. There's a lot of people involved and a lot of opinions, and I just wasn't there. Like, that's why I leave. I just go. That's why for me, celebrity gossip is trash, because it's not really what happened. There's no way we know exactly what went down. I'm too far removed from the truth. The truth is somewhere in the middle. And if you ask the people, they know the truth. And some of them are probably in denial. And so, like, if we got into a massive fight and then we went out and told a bunch of people about it, no one's going to know what happened, because I have a view of it. We can't even agree on the truth if we get in a fight. The two people in the room, much less a bunch of other people, So I just think they're very far from the truth, and we're very far from the truth. And that's the biggest problem, is you got a bunch of people who are trying to create reality now and manipulate it and morph it. And I feel sorry for them. I feel really saddened for anyone that's that far from the truth and that far from their integrity because of money, because of reputation. Just own it.
Well, and that's actually what I would say I would leave it on is, if Justin made a mistake, he's not owning it. And if Blake and Ryan made a mistake, they're not owning it.
Yeah.
So there isn't really any ownership or accountability happening. Pun intended, it ends in court. Like, that's where the judge is going to take the evidence and say what happened.
Yeah. And I bet you that the truth still won't be found fully, because you have people trying to manipulate it. And that's really sad, because the truth will set you free. If you just stick with the truth, you don't got to hide. Like, we're all human, You're not perfect. I never put them on a pedestal. Like, personally, I think Ryan Reynolds is hilarious. I think the way he talks about Blake Lively is so great. It's how I'd want to talk about you if I was, like, from the couple clips I've ever seen, I think his Twitter account was gold. Like, I think he's so funny. I think he's probably a great dad. I bet you he's got a bunch of issues too. And maybe he is in his integrity. I just don't know. I don't know. I've never shaken any one of these people's hands. And that's kind of where I go. Like, if I can't get in the same room and look you in the eye, I just don't even know where you stand.
And this is exactly why I have to call my sister to chat about celebrity gossip.
Because I won't get bit. Because people hide, and people, just because we have this podcast doesn't mean that we're great people. Good point. Just because Justin Baldoni has a podcast, and I'm not coming after Justin Baldoni. I think he's probably a really good dude from what I've seen. I just I don't buy anyone, and my trust isn't in anyone. My trust is in God, because I am human too, and I make mistakes, and I know how hard I worked at trying not to, and I still fail. So if anyone's expecting me not to fail, don't hold your breath.
Well, I was kind of hoping you weren't going to fail.
Like, make a mistake.
No, I know you're going to make mistakes.
I get triggered 10 to 15 times a day. Everyone does. Like, own it, you know? The best thing, it's like, I think BC said this when he was on the podcast. If you're really, really honest, then it doesn't matter what you did. When you own it and you just have that embodiment and that true, like, that look, that's why I said I could look him in the eye. Like, are you good with everything, how everything went down? When someone shakes their head or they look down, like, you know, they haven't come to terms with themselves. And that's an embodiment thing. Like, if you can look in the mirror and really come to terms with yourself and accept yourself again, then you're probably going to come out and apologize or get in alignment. But I did want to talk about, I think this does segue well into what I want to talk about, because I believed, and I don't really care. I mean, I care for people, but just because it's Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, like, they're not more important to me than the rest of the world. I'll say that, you know? But I think they're a good example of, I don't understand how he has control issues when he lets his wife kiss people on set.
But that's got to be so triggering for him.
Yeah, but then why are you in, like, she's been in how many movies? And, like, I've not watched a lot of her movies. I think I've watched like 2 of them, but
or maybe the fear isn't making out on set. Maybe the fear is like the amount of time they spend together, the bonding of the creative process. Like,
yeah, but totally. There could be maybe his trigger isn't kissing, but I've never met anyone personally that has, and I'm sure they exist, so maybe this is him, but I've never met anyone personally that has control issues that's also like, yeah, you can go kiss other people. Like, that takes a certain level of trust and work to be able to allow your partner to go and kiss other people. Like, how much trust would you have to have in me for me to go play a part where I'm literally pretending to be married to someone else, making out with them on set with cameras around, and that movie's going to play for the world to see me making out with someone else? Like, how much trust would you have to have in me? A lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to be in that field, I just think you'd have to have figured out some level of trust. Like, I admire people who do that. I also think it's really dangerous. You're literally playing with fire. You know, that's like me being like, yeah, go on Tinder and go on a bunch of dates just for fun. But I'm going to trust that you're not going to fall in love with one of them. Like, it's kind of playing with fire. And I think it's just a good segue to, like, trust. We wanted to talk a little bit about trust today and how that plays out in relationships and what that looks like. Because I think he probably did extend a lot of trust, and maybe she broke it. Maybe Blake Lively broke the trust, and that was the trigger. Like,
that's one of the leading theories.
Yeah, and you know what? Fair. Like, he's in a lot of pain. These people are human, and he got triggered. That's why you heal, you know? But I just think when you're extending a lot of trust, there almost becomes a more weight to the trigger. You know, it's like, I'm going to trust you, but then you break the trust. That can inflict like even a larger trigger. So this is where I think the trust is wrong. I think people put their trust in other people, and I just don't know if that's the right move. Like, I think, of course, I married you. There's a certain level of trust that I put in you, that I've extended to you, that's like, you're not going to hurt me. But deep down, the real trick of how I was able to get married again, no offense, the real trust to allow myself to get married again isn't that I think you're going to be perfect your entire life. It's that if you're not, I've gained that trust in myself to be able to handle it. Because my life and my worth isn't in you. And I say that like it's easy, and it's not. It's not easy, and I have to remind myself of that every day. There are days where I do put my value in you. There are days where I get scared when I see you act out of character a little bit, you know? There are days where I don't fill my cup enough, but I try to. 9 times out of 10, I'm trying to I'm constantly at battle with my mind to remind myself that I have my own back, that my mission on this planet is to show up with good character no matter who does what. No matter what you do, no matter what family members do, no matter what happens on this planet. Like my job is to try to show up with good character and handle the obstacles as they come. And so I think when you extend trust and people break it, and then your character breaks, it means your trust was just in the wrong thing. Oof. Kind of a rant, but
yeah, I would agree with that to like an extent.
Of course.
And I think it's, hey friends, wanted to interrupt you really quick to let you know that if you're looking to go deeper into your healing journey or just want support, I offer coaching services for women, and Dave coaches men.
So feel free to go to the link in our bio and book a call with us. We'd love to meet you. And if you're enjoying this episode, please tap that subscribe button.
And now back to the show. Like, of course, you need to be able to trust people. Like, I think overly leaning into like, I got me, so I'm good, and not.
That's counterdependency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be so counterdependent. You don't need anyone. Like,
which I do veer towards that side.
Do. Yeah.
Which isn't helpful sometimes.
Yeah. And I think
admittingly,
that's probably like you've been hurt a lot. You've got a lot of wounds in that area. Life has shown you need to be counterdependent to be safe.
Yeah.
And so that's something you are working on. Like, we're works in progress. We admit that all the time. I think there's a balance to it where we need to be able to trust others to get through this life, but ultimately know everyone is human. Everyone is capable of making mistakes. Everyone's capable of breaking that trust. We're going to break trust with each other. We have broken trust with each other and have had to rebuild that trust. So it's a balance of both. Like, I've had to learn I'll be okay no matter what happens. And that, even for me, that was hard to learn. Because I think I even had a lot of fears around marrying you because, and this is like just a kind of out there fear, but like, yeah, like one of my fears was, well, like, okay, 50% of marriages end in divorce. 70% of second marriages end in divorce. Our odds are astronomically terrible.
Yeah.
So that's really scary. Not just for me, but because
of course
I don't like, yeah, I can rebuild if we were to divorce, knock on wood, but the girls aren't mine. Like, the girls are mine, but I would lose. Like, I wouldn't get to go to court and be like, can I have my 25% of the time? Like, that's not how literally the legal system works. And so that was a really big fear for me of like,
of course,
am I willing to get married? Am I willing to pour everything I have into this family and this life and this relationship with these odds, knowing that if it goes south, like, I'm
screwed. Yeah.
And I had to learn how to sit with that and trust myself to go, yeah, I'd figure it out.
Yeah, most people can't do it. Like, a lot of people can't overcome the discomfort of the odds being so bad, you know? But the way that you can overcome it is by trusting yourself to figure it out, because truthfully, there's no way to insure. Like, insurance is a great, thing in life. Car insurance, like, you have insurance on things because you're fearful of bad things happening. There's no way to insure your relationship in a way that's like, they're not going to hurt you. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. you're going to hurt me more than anyone in my entire life. And all I need is accountability when it happens, like full ownership. And then, if I need to make adjustments in the level of trust I extend to you, then I have to make adjustments. But the mission is to trust you and trust myself to handle it when you aren't perfect, because no one is.
Right. And I think when trust is broken, like, yes, accountability, ownership, like make a commitment to change, but also I've had to learn to not have the expectation that things are like, okay, back to business as usual.
Totally.
And that was actually really hard for me to come to terms with. Trust requires consistency over time. And when you break it, you have to start back at square one to rebuild it. And I think I've experienced that a lot with like people who've crossed my boundaries. Mm-hmm. If I've laid out really clear boundaries and you've crossed them, even if you apologize, I'm weary for a while. I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for apologizing. I accept the apology. I'm going to watch. And it takes consistency over time, sometimes over years, to actually rebuild to get back to where things were before. So, and I say that because trust is something that is broken often in relationships, and there's a spectrum of it, right? There's the trust that's broken of like, you always say you're going to take out the trash and I'm always taking out the trash. Like, so you've broken my trust that I can rely on you to take out the trash. Like, there's little things. And then there's like, I trusted you that you weren't going to like, I trusted you that you weren't going to cheat on me. Okay. That trust is going to be a lot harder to build, right? Like, there's rebuild, there's fully a spectrum, but the recipe is really the same. It's like consistently over time showing that remorse and that you changed. And so it is possible, but it is tricky.
Yeah. And I just think a lot of relationships are built on people not breaking trust. Like people, especially fearful people. And I'll be honest, that was kind of me in the past of, even with you, I was like, I want to make sure you're not going to hurt me. Like, you're a person that's not going to hurt me, right? Because I can't handle getting hurt again. And I quickly found that that's not a good foundation for a relationship, because when that trust gets broken in any way, and I mean, it's up to that person who's being hurt if it was bad enough, right? Like, okay, so you do something that all of a sudden I determine is bad enough and justifiable to leave you. Then I just walk away. Like, I walk away from what? 5-year, 10-year relationship, send you out with, not being able to have a relationship with the girls. We needed a stronger foundation. So what we did was start to get to a point to build a stronger foundation that wasn't built on us not hurting each other. Now, of course, we're going to try not to hurt each other, but it was built on honesty. And when you do, how do we rebuild that trust? And that was a huge shift for me to get to a point where I could actually sit with myself and go, she's going to hurt me. Can I handle that? And I think there's a lot of people that just can't, but there's no way to ensure it. And I think a lot of people are like looking for that person that they're like, okay, I can put all my trust in you and make sure you're never going to hurt me. I'm not talking like cheating is a little different, where it's usually not, sometimes it's just flat out that person cheated. that sucks. And I'm sorry if you were innocent. Like I said, if you were in your integrity and somebody just outright gutted you, that's terrible and that sucks. But a lot of times it's like this complicated, it takes two to tango, and there's jealousy or there's insecurities at play, and there's leaky energy to start. And so all of a sudden you have some leaky energy that goes out to some guy over a DM or somebody slides in your DMs and you kind of lead him on in some way because it feels good, and I get hurt over that, I can't leave you. Like, I mean, I could, but that's not a really good, strong foundation for a relationship. Like, a stronger foundation would be, if that happens, like, I'm going to have to talk to you. We're going to have to work through this, and we're going to have to figure out what went on with you and why you felt the need to do that, or like, because you're human. And I just think when we dig really a lot deeper, trust is the foundation of a relationship. But is your trust in all in your other partner not hurting you? Because if that's the case, you might not be on as solid ground as you think. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think, kind of going back a little bit to what you said earlier about like times when you were putting all your trust in me in order for you to feel safe, that was actually really draining on me.
100%.
Because you were seeking like validation of like, and it was like, cool, bro, do you not trust me? Like, I could feel like energetically you would ask for like, hey, can you like give me some validation of this, or like reassurance of that? And it was actually very off-putting because I was like, trust me or not. Like, I don't.
Well, you also don't. Yeah, you're kind of.
Was that a personal thing with me?
It's a little bit with you where you don't like giving reassurance or validation.
Yeah,
like you really want to just be blanket trusted. You don't want to be doubted, you know?
Yeah, and I think that is a little bit of like, while I am capable of making mistakes, like I just don't think I'm capable of making like
mistakes.
Well, this feels like a therapy session that just went wrong. That's actually it. That's probably where I got. So that is why I get so annoyed with you when you ask for that, because I'm like, I'm perfect. Why do you keep?
We found this trigger like pretty quickly in our dynamic where you don't like to make mistakes, and when I have any insecurity, it triggers you because it's like a preemptive. You think I think you're gonna make a mistake. Yeah, I mean, everyone just you have to figure out within you what your reasoning for trusting is. But I do think trust is the foundation of a relationship, but I don't think it's like a blanket answer. There's no one size fits all for how much trust you should extend in your relationship. I would never shame someone for not trusting someone else either. If that person hasn't proved themselves trustworthy, you don't really, like, you may not have a relationship anymore if you don't start extending trust, but maybe that's the right move. And I think this is what I get at with like a lot of men that I work with. A lot of it is deep down, they don't believe they're going to be okay if they walk away from the relationship, if the relationship ends. So you're trying to get your cake and eat it too. You're trying to like have the person, you're trying to make the person trustworthy. Like, you shouldn't, they've displayed, I'll give you an example of if it was us. Like, if you hurt me so bad that I don't think I should extend trust to you, the right move would, in my opinion, would be not extend trust. And just tell you, like, I flat out don't trust you. You hurt me, you didn't show trust, you have to rebuild that trust. I can't control you. You can still do whatever you're going to do, but I'm not trusting of you. And then that cuts off the emotional connection, kind of, you know? And so most men go, well, if I do that, they're going to leave me. And it's like, okay, well, then they're a person that hurt you and isn't willing to do the work to rebuild with you. So like, why are you there anyway? You know, if they show that hand. And so what the men try to do is they try to control the other partner. And when you're trying to avoid getting hurt, you're not really extending trust in the first place. Like what's that line? Like give somebody a long enough leash to hang themselves. That's basically what you got to just let them in life. Let them react, let them do the thing that they're going to do. Like, I wonder how the let them theory would have helped Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively in all this situation.
Well, actually, Justin let them.
Okay.
It wasn't until they
came after him
that he was like, I got receipts.
Yeah, he has to defend himself.
And I would actually say that's what he did really well, is when he started noticing her behavior was unhealthy, he documented like everything like crazy. So he's
and you never know, like also too, there's so much at play with people, with humans. Like, wasn't she pregnant?
She was breastfeeding.
Okay, they just had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how stressful is that situation? Like, I just, there are moments where I think people act out of character, and I think people get triggered, and I think there's also life events that cause people to really show themselves at their worst. Like, one of my worst, hands down, most embarrassing moments of my life was at my grandpa's funeral. I got in a big fight with my sister, and I acted way out of character. And it was the day of my grandpa's funeral, and I was like 20 years old, and I'm like, it's the worst. It's the worst memory I have. You know, I think that I can really come up with out of like my own character. And I mean, emotional days, right? Anyone can get got.
Anyone can get got. But if you get got, what do? You
got to own it.
Own it.
Yeah, the damage is more done.
That's the difference, is when you get got, immediately fall on the sword and own it, or it's going to spiral in the wrong direction.
Well, you try to spend time or energy or money trying to manipulate the truth, and then you try to like cover yourself up. Like, you know, it's always like in a movie, like in a scene in a movie when somebody makes a huge mistake. Like maybe it's like an outrageous movie where like somebody accidentally murders somebody, and then they start like, they have a split second decision of like call the cops and turn themselves in and explain what happened. Maybe it's on accident, you know? Like they accidentally murdered someone, and it's like that at that point they should call the cops, explain the situation, but instead they start covering it up. And the more you start covering it up, the deeper you just dig a hole. It just turns so wild, kind of like that show Beef. Mm-hmm. There's a show on Netflix called Beef where it's
a fantastic show, by the way.
Yeah, it's two people who get really triggered in a road rage accident, and they just ruin their entire lives over this road rage incident. And it's so true. Like,
but you know what's fascinating by this is, why is accountability so hard? Because it's ego. It's ego. Yeah, it's ego. It's 100% ego driven.
Yeah. It's hard to let go of the ego and honestly, it's perfectionism, and not in the stake you put in reputation. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't believe in reputation. Really. I just don't. I don't really buy it. Anyone with like an outstanding reputation, I would say, like, okay, what are you hiding? You know? Or are you like, did you really not make a mistake? Like, I just don't put a lot of stake in that. I just think as humans, we make a lot of mistakes growing up. We make a lot of mistakes in adulthood and young adulthood. And then we, at some point, try to figure it out where we can just live a better character life. But I'm more concerned about alignment than reputation. And a true alignment is usually owning your mistakes, not being shocked, or not being this withholding of wanting to admit that I did something wrong is all ego. That's ego in a positive reputation. You can literally live a great life and have a massive ego in your great life. What accomplishment is that? Like, to me, that's the greatest failure of all time. Like, you know, you lived a great life, you did all these things, and you had an ego. And it's kind of like giving away a lot of money and having an ego in the amount of money you give away. That you're like ruining it, you know? It's not from a good, positive heart. And I just value that alignment. I value that love. I value that open-heartedness in really dying to your ego. And because what that does is it's no longer playing the game of me, and it's playing the game of we. Like we. Like,
what the heck is we? Is that a French game? we.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how that came from. You get the point. It's not playing the game of me, it's playing the game of we, and which is like when somebody finally realizes that they're a part of a bigger connectedness with humanity, and if you suffer, I suffer. And going back to trust, this was the number one thing for us. Once I realized, once we both kind of were able to, instead of focus on our problems or our disagreements, and we were able to get to the point where we saw, I don't think you want to win at my expense, and I don't think you think I want to win at your expense. That's when we really became a team. When it was like, winning for me isn't gonna taste very good if you're miserable. So everything's a compromise now. Everything is checking in with each other. There's times where there's more trust, and there's times when there's less. And when there's less, we hunker down and we try to rebuild it again. And it's this, we're in this together. And really, humanity would be best if we all realized that. We're all in this together. Like, when is winning ever really that great if you just hurt a lot of people around you?
You didn't win if you hurt a lot of people around you.
Yeah.
That's just not winning.
Yeah. So you realize that the greatest thing is actually just living in harmony with the rest of humanity. And I know that's really difficult, and we're not in harmony as we speak, but maybe that's the mission, to try to get us all back in harmony with one another and care. Like, when I hurt you, when I see somebody else in pain, it pains me. We are connected in that way. And when you finally admit that to yourself and stop playing the game of me, then you're in alignment.
We.
Oh man. Trust is tricky.
Trust is tricky. Self-trust, though, that's where it's at. You know what I think is important to talk about too on building self-trust? Because I'm someone that actually struggled with that, not with an ED, struggles, I should say. Like, actively, I'm still working on that muscle of trusting myself. And I've learned it's just about expanding my capacity a little bit more each time it comes to like me doing something where I don't feel like I believe in myself to be able to do it. Because a lot of it comes down to belief, right? Like, do you believe that you can or can't? Do you believe you're going to be okay if the person leaves you? Like, what do you believe? And that can impact your ability to trust yourself. And so learning how to sit with the discomfort a little bit more and a little bit more has helped me to open my container of self-trust to be able to hold more of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear what I'm saying on that?
Yeah.
And I think also it's been really helpful to to remember what I've either individually, what have I gone through to prove that I'm capable of doing more and I can trust myself to do more. And then also, what have we been through in our relationship that we've learned how to navigate, that I can trust our relationship more to navigate hard things. And I think that's where trust, like, you can kind of build up. You often refer to it as like coins. Like, how do you build up more coins, more trust equity with yourself and with your partner?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like over time expanding that capacity and expanding it.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects to that. I mean, you're talking about trust in every category. Like, do you trust someone to when we're talking about the mental load, do you trust them to give their all through their work and through their, like, do you trust their work ethic, you know?
Right.
Or are they lazy? Do you trust their heart and their dreams? Like, are they dreaming about a life that's different than you have currently? Like, are they mentally kind of drifting into this game of like idealizing other people's lives? Or that can be hurtful in a relationship. Like, if all of a sudden you were really like dreaming about, you know, a life different than we have, that would suck for me, you know? And so you kind of have to trust what's going on in somebody else's head. Like, are they taking care of their thoughts? Are they taking care of their mental health? And then you trust them sexually. Like, are they lusting after someone else? Like, you know, early on when I was struggling with some trust issues, like I remember asking you about that and us having a conversation, and you were like, Dave, I don't lust. And I was like hit pretty hard by that. I was like, whoa, you don't lust like after other guys? Like, if you see a guy that's like super hot, like, you don't lust? And you're like, no. And I was like, oh, like, I guess I have my own heart to check. I was projecting because I had lust in my heart, you know? Like, I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize that was an option to not lust. Like, I forgot. I somehow forgot about that. And it's just like, it's a lot about building, like you said, building up these coins. I'm gonna cheat a little in
after an entire episode on trust, you just told me you're gonna cheat a little?
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat a little on our podcast, and like and I'm gonna give a life hack that's relevant to the subject.
Okay. Well, I'll allow that cheat.
Yeah, so one of the biggest ways, so shifting into life hacks, but I didn't have a life hack, so I'm cheating a little bit. When it comes to trust and building trust with your partner, I think one of the things that has helped me the most has been to actually be honest with myself in the ways that I don't trust. So like, and trust you or trust myself. And actually, when I'm honest about the ways that I don't trust you, it's actually always 100% of the time a deeper belief in myself that I'm not going to be okay. Like, I'm not okay, or a voice in my head that's like scared that I need something and I'm not going to be fulfilled in my life, or some type of like deeper anxiety that's coming from a future fear. You know, if I play it out and I'm like, well, if this did happen, would I be okay? And it's like, well, this might happen and this might happen and it would hurt, and it would suck. But there's a difference in how you act and show up as a human when you believe something's going to suck and when you believe that you're not going to be able to make it through it. Like, when you don't trust yourself to handle it, you get a lot more anxiety that comes out of you than if you go, this is going to suck, but I can handle it. And the reality is there's really very few things in life that you're not going to handle. So the trick of trusting a partner is trusting yourself. That's my life hack.
It's a great life hack. Love it.
Do you have one?
I do.
Ooh.
It's in a completely different direction.
Good.
My life hack is wake up 15 minutes earlier than you usually do every morning and read. It's not that much more time, and it will make a significant impact on your life. It sets the tone for the day in a positive way. You actually like gain information that you otherwise wouldn't know. It helps you to grow. And it's like just enough time. Like, you might read like a chapter, and over time you're compounding books, you're compounding the amount of knowledge you have. And then you're also showing yourself that you can commit to something, which like helps build self-trust and self-confidence and belief in yourself that you can actually fulfill promises to yourself. So that's my life hack. Read 15 minutes a day in the morning, and it will significantly improve your life.
I love it. I'm a big fan of that. We've been doing that for quite some time, and I would say that it changed our lives totally. Love you.
I love you, and I love all of you. And Blake, Ryan, Justin, love you guys too.
We do, yeah. We hope you heal. Hope you can be friends again at some point.
Wouldn't that be beautiful?
It'd be beautiful.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, and if you want support, let us know. I'm not kidding. Like, no situation is too scary to try to, help people see see past the pain, see past the resentment and the anger. I get it. It's got to be tough, but Ryan, come on, Ryan. You're a badass dude. You're one of the funniest. You're such an idol in so many ways to so many people. You can handle this, and you can handle it well, and you might have to admit some things you did wrong, but you fucking got this. So
we just opened the episode with me breaking the news to you that you're no longer going to love Ryan Reynolds, and you decided to end it professing your love and belief in Ryan Reynolds. That's what just happened.
I just believe in everyone. Like, I just, like, I
know, and I love that about you, and I believe in everyone too, but I also believe you'd have a lot of work to do with Ryan.
Yeah, but you know what? You know who else needed a lot of work? Me. Like, I needed so much work, and it's doable. And so I have a hard time believing that people are really that much further gone than I was, because I was so far gone. There wasn't any light behind my eyes anymore. I was gone. I wanted alcohol. Like, that was it, And I just believe that. Yeah, and I also believe that if he does the work, and I believe he will, this might break him. And if he maybe he's done a lot of work previously, and if you're being broken, good. Yeah,
it's from rock bottom that you get back up.
Yeah, Rich Roll has a great clip that goes like, if you're at rock bottom, I'm paraphrasing, but if you're at rock bottom, congratulations. Because you're about to awaken a whole new version of yourself. And that's just a beautiful place to be able to do that. I think there's an opportunity here. The obstacle is the way. Like, face it, overcome it, show your character deep down, but it's going to be painful. But if you need help facing that pain, I got you. I'll be your bro. When no one's got your back in this world, I will have your back. I promise.
I don't know why I'm giggling. That's really sweet. I love that. I love your heart, babe.
Yeah.
And your love for Ryan Reynolds.
He's hilarious.
Okay.
He's so funny. All right. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.